Okay, so you wrote the SOP, your team read it, and 2 weeks later, everyone's back to doing it their own way. Sound familiar? I spent 30 years fixing broken processes inside Fortune 100 companies before I ever worked with a small business. And the biggest mistake I watched leaders make had nothing to do with how detailed their instructions were. It's the exact same mistake I see small business owners make with their SOPs right now. There's one question almost nobody asks before they try to fix a broken process. I'm going to show you what it is and why skipping it is the real reason your documentation keeps failing. Before we go any further, let's clear something up because most business owners get stuck right here. When a process breaks down after you've documented it, the instinct is to blame one of two things. Either the document wasn't detailed enough, or the team isn't disciplined enough to follow it. Both of those explanations keep you focused on the wrong fix. More detail just means a longer document nobody reads, and more discipline just means frustration on both sides. Did you stop to ever actually ask your team what's breaking before you decided what to document or fix? Most owners write the SOP based on what they think the process should look like from their own head, not based on where the actual gap is in the team's daily experience. This isn't a new idea I invented for small business. It's the first real step in any legitimate change management process. You diagnose before you prescribe. I learned this the hard way, and it wasn't in a small business at all. For years, I believed the way to scale a team was to document every process down to the smallest step. The more detailed the SOP, the safer you were. It's the instinct almost every operations-minded leader has. Document more, and the business stays safe. There was an associate at one of the companies I worked with who had run one specific process solo for 20 years. Everything about how he did it lived in his head, and whatever wasn't in his head lived on a whiteboard near his desk. He wasn't bad at his job. He'd built something that worked by himself for 2 decades. However, when he stepped away for vacation or ever got sick, even briefly, things got missed. Not because he'd never written anything down. Some of it was documented. But no SOP in the world captures the 100 small judgment calls someone makes instinctively after doing something for 20 years. The fix wasn't a better written SOP. We cross-trained 2 people directly on his real live work side by side and built a simple shared tracker so his memory wasn't the only record left standing. The critical part is before any of that started, the first step was sitting down and asking him directly what actually happens, where he got stuck, what he wished someone would ask him, how much time for each step did he spend, who did he partner with for input. It wasn't guessing from the outside and writing a document based on assumptions. Here's what I actually believe now, and it's the whole reframe this video is built around. The steps were never the valuable part. The judgment was. And you can't write your way into transferring judgment. Change management doesn't start with documenting the process the leader thinks is happening. It starts with finding out what's actually happening from the people doing the work every day. Your standards, the way you want things done, absolutely do live in your head. That part is real. But the specific places where your team is guessing, improvising, or quietly doing it their own way, those live in their daily experience, not your. Until you ask the questions, you're just documenting based on your assumption of the gap, not the real gap. That's exactly why the SOP looks complete on paper and still falls apart in practice. This is the shift that separates a business owner from an operator. You stop assuming you know where things break, and you start finding out. Small business owners resist this because it feels like it should be obvious. You're the one who built the process. But the person doing it 40 hours a week sees things you can't see from the outside anymore. So here's exactly what I want you to take to your team this week. There are 3 questions you can ask them in a single conversation. Question 1. Where do you get stuck and have to guess what I'd want? This surfaces the exact spots where your standard never actually made it out of your head. Question 2. What do you wish you could ask me but don't want to bother me with? This one usually surfaces the most because people quietly work around small uncertainties rather than interrupt you. And those workarounds are exactly where inconsistency creeps in. Question 3. Where do you redo something because you weren't sure it was right? Rework is one of the clearest signals that a process has a real gap. Here's how you do it. Now, this doesn't need a formal meeting or a survey. A direct one-on-one conversation works better. People are more honest when it doesn't feel like an audit. Once you have your feedback, don't try to fix everything at once. Pick the one gap that came up most or cost the most time, and that's what you document or fix first, built around what they actually told you, not what you assumed going in. This is one piece of a much bigger shift. Asking questions is step 1, not the whole fix, and I want to be honest about that. This conversation surfaces the real gaps, but it's still just the starting point. The bigger shift is moving your standards out of your head entirely and into something your team can actually use without you in the middle of every decision. That's a bigger project than one conversation, and it's the same shift I help business owners work through when everything still runs through them personally. The goal isn't to make you feel like you have to overhaul everything this week. The goal is to stop guessing at what to fix and start knowing because you asked. This whole approach assumes you already know your process is breaking down somewhere. It just helps you find out exactly where and why before you try to fix it. But what if you're not even sure where to start? What if everything still feels like it runs through you personally and you can't tell what's actually broken versus what just feels overwhelming? I made a video on exactly that, how to build systems so your team can actually run without you, even when it feels like nothing would work if you stepped away. Click that video next. I'll see you in there. Please also like and follow for more content like this.